Hello and welcome to You Are Loved. I am your host, Sarah McCormick, and I am so glad that you're here today. So, today's episode is titled Falling in Love Again. Falling in love again can mean different things to different people. It could mean finding a new love. Maybe your spouse passed away or you were divorced and you have found new love with a new person. Or it can mean falling in love with that same person that you've been with again. A lot of times you will hear women say that about their children's father. When Jacob was born, I fell in love with my husband again. I never really seen him with children before. He's an only child, and his cousins lived in different states, so he was never around babies or young kids when he was growing up. Seeing how he took care of Jacob that first night in the hospital made me fall in love with him again. He was attentive, he took the lead, something that honestly surprised me. I can vividly remember a picture that was taken of him and Jacob when Jake was a few hours old. He was sitting in the reclining chair in my hospital room holding Jake. He was just looking at him, attending to him. He was so happy to finally meet his son. It was a side of my husband I didn't know even existed, and it caused me to fall in love with him all over again. Fast forward 3 years, and I fell in love with my husband again. This time, it was when our daughter was born. The relationship between a dad and a daughter is different from that between a dad and a son. I feel like when a man has a daughter, there's this additional protectiveness that comes. He needs to protect his little girl. I have another image that will forever be ingrained in my mind. It is that of Randy sitting on the edge of the couch in my hospital room, holding Emma the same way that he held Jacob and giving her a bottle. She was his only focus. He was talking to her, telling her how much he loved her. I fell in love again. Well, we are done having kids, so I thought the chances of me having a falling in love again feeling was going to be a ways off. But I was wrong. In 2016, I met my best friend, but it wasn't until 2019 that we actually became best friends. She's a single mom with two young girls and no real male figure in her life. Me being me, I told her that I was there 100% if she needed anything. And I mean anything. The way that I thought of it was this is my best friend. And if she needs help and protection, that's what I'm going to give her. What I didn't realize was that my husband was going to feel the same way. Now, I have never seen my husband become protective over anyone aside from me and my children, ever. And seeing that protectiveness that he had for somebody else made me fall in love with him even more. Now, I want to be clear here because I can sense that some people are probably going to think, oh, well, aren't you worried that something's going to happen between your husband and your best friend? No. Flat out, no. And there are definitely things that have happened that make me realize that that is something that I do not have to worry about at all. We joke with him. So she moved to a different apartment and we had helped her move. And one of the things that I did was she had to move a couch. So I bought these straps online that you wear over your body and it helps you move the couch. You put them underneath and instead of using like your back and your arms and everything, you use your whole body to carry it. Well, Randy and my best friend were at the old house getting ready to move this couch and I was at the new house setting stuff up. And she walks into her new apartment hysterically laughing. I'm like, "What is going on?" She goes, "Your husband. I cannot with him." I said, "What's going on?" And his face is red. I'm like, "What happened?" She goes, "So, those things that you got us the straps to help move the couch? Well, I couldn't figure out how to get them to work. And I asked Randy for help. Well, the part that I needed help with was in a certain area, like a do not touch area. And he couldn't figure out like how to help me. He's trying to show me on his how it hooks together, and I'm just not getting it. And I'm getting frustrated. And I'm like, Brady, just fix it. And he's like, no, no. And we teased him about that forever. I mean, so no, I do not have to worry about anything happening if he won't even help her adjust something to help carry something when it's anywhere close to a do not touch area. But seeing him become protective over her and her children made me fall in love with him even more. And I honestly didn't think that it was possible. The way he would show up to fix things at her house that were broken, the way he would go to exchange and pick up her girls for her, the way that he acted at exchange, making sure that she was safe and that her girls were safe. I never thought it was anything that I would ever see him do. So, for a few years now, Randy has been tossing around the idea of going to law school. Being a police officer is difficult work, and sometimes it has a negative effect on you. Seeing people at their worst can really take a toll on you mentally. In January, he was medically disqualified from his job for 5 weeks. He fought to get reinstated and finally was. But during those 5 weeks, he took a serious look at law school. He looked to see which schools held evening programs that he could attend. He looked to see when he could take his LSAT, when he needed to have it taken by, what score he needed to have. He looked at the cost of law school. He went on and he bought an LSAT book. He had scheduled everything out to make sure that he was going to be prepared for when the test came. He was really serious about this. So his mom is living with us now and will shortly be selling her house and moving in with us permanently. So during this 5 week time when he was seriously looking at law school, she told him that if he got in, she would pay for it. Because honestly, the only thing holding us back from him going was being able to afford it because it's expensive. Well, he got in. And honestly, I knew he would because when he sets his mind to something, he accomplishes it. I have never seen him study so much for a test before in my entire life. And we went to college together. The next thing we knew, he was accepted into law school and started getting his class assignments and when orientation is and who his professors are. And the next thing you know, we're buying books and he's got assignments to do. And this is getting real. He's really going. And he's so excited. He's had summer work that he's had to do. Because Legally Blonde did not lie to you in that fact that when you go to your first day at law school, the professor expects you to have briefed a bunch of cases so that they can talk about it right off the bat. So he has a bunch of different lessons that he's been doing, and he will come to me and say, "Oh my gosh, I learned this. Oh, there's this court case that we're reading and I have to brief it. And how do you think that it's going to end?" And then he tells us how it's going to end. And he's really into all of this because it's really interesting for him. So yesterday, we went to my best friend's house because she was having an issue with her dryer and asked if Randy could take a look. So it's the same issue that we had with our dryer before, where it dries, but it doesn't actually dry the clothes. And it was something that had happened before for us. So I figured he would be able to fix it because he had fixed it for us. So there he is in her small laundry room, dryer pulled out from the wall, pen behind his ear, law school shirt on, 5 o'clock shadow, watching YouTube, trying to figure out what's wrong with her dryer. And I don't know what it was about that whole scene, but I fell in love with him all over again. There he was, my husband, the man who would do anything for my best friend to help make her life easier. So her house is on the way to Walmart, which is initially where we were going, which is why she said, "Hey, can you stop and take a look at this?" So while he was messing with the dryer and watching YouTube, I was getting antsy. And I said to his mom, "Hey, let's run to Walmart and pick up what we need while he's working on the dryer." And she goes, "Okay." So on the way there, we chatted about him getting into law school, how it was starting next week with orientation, and how I honestly wasn't surprised that he had put so much effort into it. I also told her that I believe that my best friend was one of the driving forces for him going to law school. He tried everything that he could within his police power to help her with some issues that were going on, giving her advice, telling her how she needed to report certain things, how she needed to ask for a copy of the police report for documentation. But in the end, that was all that he could do because the matter that she was dealing with was civil, which means police really can't help. But I could see how he wanted to be able to do more. Over the summer of 2020, Randy worked with a lawyer because we were having some issues with our homeowners association. So Randy spent hours combing through the rules and regulations, the bylaws, and the declarations, and sent an email to this lawyer that we got connected with, along with his interpretation of what the rules were saying and if what they were claiming to charge us with was in fact something that they could do based on that information. And much to the lawyer's surprise, Randy did a really good job. And the lawyer agreed with the conclusion that he had come to. So, a lot of times when lawyers are asked to look over documents like this, people tend to read it how they want it to be read. And they interpret things to their benefit, not necessarily how everybody else will interpret it. And this lawyer that we got connected with gave Randy a really nice round of applause, if you want to put it that way, that he did a really good job. And pretty much the lawyer came to the same conclusion that Randy did. So that kind of made him feel better, going, okay, I could actually do this lawyer thing if I really wanted to. So I think that helped him realize that he could actually do this. So when the opportunity arose for him to go to law school, he took it. So today, Randy and I were driving back to Walmart because who doesn't go to Walmart 15 million times in a week? I told him that I thought my best friend was part of the reason why he wanted to become a lawyer. And I wasn't sure how he was going to respond. But after being married for 12 years, I know that I can say stupid things and he won't get mad. But to my surprise, he said yes, without a shadow of a doubt. Yes, that she was a driving factor. He knows lawyers are expensive and she can't easily afford one. So he figures he'll go to law school, pass the bar, and represent her pro bono, free of charge. As I was texting with her today, she was expressing frustration again about the situation that she's in. And I said to Randy, I feel like I should tell her to just hold out for 4 years. If she can make it 4 years, then you'll be able to help because you'll be a lawyer. And he responded, I already told her that yesterday. I said, what? He goes, oh, yeah, I already told her, you know, if she can hold on for 4 years, once I pass my bar, we're doing it. We're handling this and taking care of it. And that made me fall in love with him all over again. Some people will think that it's crazy that he's going to law school to help my best friend. I mean, why spend all of that time and money just for that one person? But that's the type of person that he is. He's the type of person who cannot stand injustice. That was the reason why he became a police officer. He wanted to help people. He didn't want to do it to drive fast and beat people up or whatever the joke is about being a police officer. He did it because he wanted to help. And I can remember different times when he first started as a police officer on his own, the way that he helped people. He worked in Harrisburg. And when it was really, really cold out, he actually had the numbers to the shelters in his phone and would call for the homeless people to see if there was room in the shelter. If there wasn't room in the shelter, he would tell them, all you got to do is go to the diner at the end of the road and buy a cup of coffee and they'll let you stay there as long as you want. One time, he convinced a cab driver to take a mom and her 2 young children about an hour away from where they were because there was a misunderstanding, a miscommunication. She was trying to leave a really bad situation, ended up at the train station in Harrisburg and needed to get to Carlisle. And he was able to talk a cab driver into taking her free of charge. Who who does that? My husband does because he wants to help people. And so that's why he is becoming a lawyer, to help people. And that's how I fall in love with my husband all over again. Thanks for listening.